Hi, in this session we will be dealing with population. We are going to see what are the characters of population, what are growth forms in carrying capacity, and the interaction which are taking place between species in a population. Let us look into what we are going to deal in detail. In characters of population, we will be discussing about population size, density, natality, mortality, age, and rate of increase, growth forms and carrying capacity. And in population interaction between species, we will be discussing about competition, parasitism, predation, commensalism, mutualism, and neutralism. So let's begin. Population. The meaning of population is a group of individuals of a same species which is residing at a particular area at a particular time where they interact, interbreed, and exchange genetic information. We all know that each species which are present around us are interacting with each other and also with their environment. So these species are interacting with each other and they are interbreeding. The same species interact with each other and interbreed, and through interbreeding they are exchanging genetic information. Such a group of individuals is called as population. And the branch of ecology which deals with study of population is called population ecology. Under population ecology, we are studying the character, structure, and regulation of population. And a population of a small area or a population can be divided into small subgroups called as demes or local population. Moving on to the characters of population, we are going to discuss about population size, density, natality, mortality, age, and rate of increase. Population size. Population size is simply the representation of number of individuals of a species which are present in a geographical zone. And it is simply representing the number of species which are present in a particular zone. And this can be measured in several ways. And the three different ways to measure population size are abundance. Abundance is the number of individuals in a population. Second method is numerical density, where number of individuals is represented in relation to an area or volume. So numerical density is number of individuals per unit area or volume. And third one is biomass density, which is expressed as wet or dry weight. And biomass density is expressed as wet or dry weight per unit area or volume. Now, if we are representing the population size with reference to an area, it's called as population density. That is another character of population. So, density is the size of a population in relation to unit area. And it can be expressed as number of individuals or biomass per unit area or volume. An example for representation of density is 100 lions per 100 kilometer square. Here we are telling how many lions are present in a particular area. Here 100 lions are present per 100 kilometer square. So that is density. And density keep on changing with time and space. And density can be mathematically expressed as n by a whole divided by t, where n represent number of individuals, a represent area, and t represent time. And density can be expressed in two ways, that is crude population density and ecological density. It will be dealt in detail in the next slide. And various factors which are controlling density are environmental factors, climatic factors, and movements which are taking place within a population, which is called as migration. Under it is immigration and immigration, moving in and moving out of a population. And socio-economic factors also control density. And smaller sized organisms have greater density, or those organisms which are occupying lower levels in the trophic are having greater density. Next is the two ways which we can express density. They are crude density and ecological density. Crude density is the density per unit total space, and ecological density is density per unit habitat space. Here an example is given. Suppose the green rectangular area is a forest and it occupies an area of 1 hectare. So the rectangular is a complete forest and total area of that particular forest is 1 hectare. And suppose an animal population is present in the 3 yellow circles. Let us consider the animal to be rabbit. A rabbit population is present in the forest and it is distributed in 3 different places. And the 3 different places where the rabbit population is distributed is shown in yellow circles. And within these 3 places, in each place there are 10 rabbits. So total in that forest there are 30 rabbits, and out of the total area of that forest, the 30 rabbits are located as 3 groups in 3 different areas, and each yellow circle occupies an area of 1 acre. And the 3 areas together occupy three yellow circles together occupy 3 acres. So in this problem, when we are expressing as crude density and ecological density, we can say that crude density is 30 divided by hectare. That is density per unit total area. So there are 30 rabbits and total area of that forest is 1 hectare. So crude density is 30 divided by hectare. And ecological density is density per unit habitat space. In this particular problem, out of the 1 hectare, the rabbit population is distributed in a total of 3 acres. So, ecological density can be expressed by as 30 by 3 acres. Next character of population is natality. Natality is the rate of reproduction or birth per unit time, and it is an important factor which contribute to population growth. The natality varies depend on species to species, and the value of natality is always positive or 0 value. It can never attain a negative value. Natality is expressed as number of births per unit time divided by average population. Natality also can be expressed in 2 ways, and they are maximal absolute or physiological natality and actual observed, realized or ecological natality. Let us see what are these 2 ways in which natality can be expressed. Maximal natality is the maximum number of births which can occur under ideal ecological and genetic condition. So this value is always a theoretical value. It can never take place in a natural conditions. So when all the condition, ecological and genetic conditions are ideal, what is the maximum number of births which can take place is called as maximal natality. An actual or observed or realized or ecological natality is the actual number of births which are occurring under the existing environmental condition. Actual natality is the one which we can see around us in the nature. Next character of population is mortality. Mortality is the number of deaths per unit time, and it can be expressed as mortality is number of deaths divided by Like natality, mortality can also be expressed in two ways, that is minimal mortality and realized mortality. Minimal mortality is the lowest possible death rate which occur under ideal and non-limiting condition. This is also a theoretical value. Never the environmental conditions are going to be ideal or in a non-limiting condition. So this is always theoretical value. Next is realized or ecological mortality, and this is the actual loss of individuals which are taking place under the existing environmental conditions. Next is vital index, and vital index is a ratio between natality and mortality, and vital index can be represented as VI is equal to N by M into 100, whereas N is natality and M is mortality. And by comparing the natality and mortality of a population, we can say whether a population is steady population, growing population, or declining population. When the rate of births and death are equal, it is a steady population. When the birth rate is very high or natality very high, it's a growing population. And when the mortality is very high, it's a declining population, or number of individuals in that population is decreasing. Next character of population is age distribution. It's an important character of population and it influences the natality and mortality. And if you are taking mortality, it varies with age. In lifespan of an organism, the mortality will be high in early and later periods. And coming to natality, the population, a particular age group can only give rise to or reproduce or produce progenies. So birth is also restricted to certain age groups. And population can be divided into three based on age group. And the three groups are pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive group. And depending on the population of these three groups, we can say whether a population is growing population, stable population, or declining population. Suppose in a population, the pre-reproductive group is very high in number. Look at the first pyramid. The pre-reproductive group is very high in number. Such a population is called as expanding population. And in the second pyramid, where the pre-reproductive and reproductive groups are equal in number, such a population is called as stable population. And in the third pyramid, we can see that number of individuals in the pre-reproductive group is very less compared to reproductive group. Such a population is called as declining population. So by looking at the number of individuals in these three groups, we can say whether a population is growing, declining, or stable population. Thank you.